Welcome back to Upticks. I'm Jake Falcon, the founder and CEO of Falcon Wealth Advisors and your host of Upticks. And I'm joined by my permanent guest, Cory Bittner, the co-founder of Falcon Wealth Advisors. And today, Cory, we're going to talk about net worth in your 50s and 60s. It's actually a very important subject and a very important number that our audience needs to know about. But first, Cory, I want to talk about the stock market and give you my prediction. How about that?
Ooh, I didn't know you were in the business of prediction. I didn't know you were a fortune teller.
That was a little bit of a teaser. You're right. No one can predict the future, Cory, but here's my deal.
Okay.
I just attended this great webinar by one of the industry leaders of financial advisors, and he reminded the audience of a lot of things that I wanted to share with our audience of Upticks. So he has done, what does he call it? A study? I don't know what he calls it, something else, but he's done a study for the last 25 years, okay?
Okay.
So if we look back to the early 2000s, where I was in college, you were probably in high school.
Yep.
But we had the dot-com bubble burst,
Yep.
right? And then we had the great financial crisis, which I was an advisor during that time, in 2007, 2008. Then we had the pigs, remember them? Portugal,
Yeah.
Italy, Ireland, Greece, and Spain. That was the European debt crisis.
Yep.
Then we've had COVID, right? And then we had the war with Russia and Ukraine break out. And my point of bringing up all these major events over the last 25 years is these were major global events, and the stock market crashed during all of these events. But if you go back the last 25 years, the market's up a tremendous amount. I should know that number, but I don't know it all. Do you know what it is?
No,
It's
not
like,
off the top of my head.
yeah, but it's way up. We'll just say it's way up.
We can agree on that.
Yeah, and if you go back 100 years, the stock market actually averages 10% a year. Now, there is no guarantee, of course, of future events, and every time it's different. When is the last time we saw a pandemic? Right,
2020, but
yeah, but before that, right,
a long time.
And the dot-com bubble that never had happened because the internet wasn't a thing. So
right.
So I don't want our audience to think that now yes, it's always different by definition. But my point is, I think instability is here to stay.
Agree.
And it has been for the last 25 years. And to get this 10% average return in the past, investors have had to stay disciplined, right? And they've had to, that's the return they've made, Cory, for not panicking when markets get crazy. And in fact, a lot of people don't understand this, but the market actually crashes every year on average about 10 to 15% every year.
Right. And we had that this year.
Yes, in April, it was the tariff tantrum, right?
Yep.
It happened in April, it crashed. And what this is for investors is this is practice. So every year you get a practice maintaining discipline and not panicking out of the market. Now, what's scary though is that on average, Cory, every 5 years, the market crashes 30%. Now that's when things get that's what I'm talking about, the dot-com, COVID, the great financial crisis. Those are the big events when we have these major pullbacks. But again, here's the key takeaway, is that nobody can consistently predict the economy, and nobody can consistently time the market.
I have to ask you this. Why do you think everybody tries? Not everybody, but a lot of people.
And the media talks about it so much.
All the time. All the time.
I don't know, Cory, because people hate losing.
Yeah.
Just like you don't like gambling, right? We can talk
Sure.
about that. But people don't like to lose money. They don't like to see their account down. And this is the problem. People don't understand asset allocation. Because if you really understand asset allocation, you would know that you shouldn't have money that you need to spend in the next 5 to 10 years in the stock market.
Yeah.
And so what the stock market does today, next week, next month, next year doesn't affect my financial plan nor my clients' financial plans. And that's why I want to bring up this prediction. So I'm predicting, Cory, that the market's going to crash.
Bold prediction.
I just don't know when, nor do I know by how much. But my point is, the way we invest money for our clients at Falcon Wealth Advisors is that we don't put money that our clients need to access in the stock market. I mean, yeah, they do need to access it eventually, but ideally not for a decade.
Right. So your point also is that we're not expecting the market to go up every year forever.
No, and and I'm trying to prepare people, because if you look at it, 2024, this S&P 500 was up around 20%. 2023 was up around 20%. And this year it's up around 10 or 15.
Right.
Those are 3 really, really strong years. Now, does that mean 2026 it's going to go down? No, it doesn't mean that. It can keep going up. But my point is, as an investor, you need to prepare yourself for these crashes and recognize they are going to happen.
Yep.
But you have to stay disciplined. You have to stay diversified, and you can't panic out of the market. That is going to blow up your financial plan more than the market pullback.
Yep.
So I wanted to share that with our audience today. I was really and I've got a lot of notes I'm going to share with you later today, actually, so that you can share it with your clients. But the point is, panics happen. It's going to be unstable. That's the definition of the market. But his whole point is that consumer capitalism, whatever you want to call it, that companies adapt and they grow and they make money and they pivot. And that's really what we're investing in. His other argument is that, like, you're not going to go stop using whatever. I don't want to name any stocks on today's show because I don't want anyone to go buy stocks based on what I say. But you're not going to go stop buying the soap that you buy because the stock went down 30%.
Right.
No, you're going to go buy the soap.
Yep.
Because you like the soap.
Right.
And so
got to stay clean.
Yeah. So there's a big disconnect on true company value and price. Yeah. And so I got so much of that. We can go on, and that's not today's topic, Cory. But again, just know it's going to be unstable. We're going to get clients through it like we have I've been doing this 19 years. You've been doing this 15 years. We're going to stay diversified. We're going to make sure that the money is allocated according to the financial plan. And that's how you do it. So I just want to share that with our audience.
I like it. Good.
So, thank you, Cory.
Bold prediction.
That's my soapbox next week.
Okay. Got it out of the way early.
All right. So let's go on today's real topic. You ready?
Let's do it.
You ready do you have any soapbox you want to share? Now's the time, Cory.
No, I don't.
Okay. So here's the topic today, Cory. We're talking about the net worth reality. Where do 50 and 60-year-olds stand? Where do they stack up? And I got to ask you this question before we get into the notes here. Do you ever meet with a potential client in that first meeting, maybe even a client, and do they ask you, how do I compare?
All the time.
So do I. I get that
all the time.
Why do you think people ask that? I'm not saying they shouldn't ask that, but why do you think they ask that?
I think because the truth is, it's probably always been this way. I personally think that social media is part of it, like the sort of comparison machine.
Sure.
But people want to know how they stack up against the next person. And I think it's because they're looking for comfort.
Yeah, and validation that maybe they've done a good job of saving or they're not going to run out of money.
Right. Or if they haven't, they also want to know that.
True. So the good news is today I've got some of those figures that we're going to go over. So
good.
But today the objective is that we want to help people understand where they actually stack up. So we're going to go over those numbers here in a moment. Also, I want to talk about how the averages, though, of net worth can be misleading. We're going to talk about what a healthy net worth looks like, depending on your lifestyle and goals, and what actions, this is the end, you got to stay to the end of this, what actions people can take to improve their situation.
Nice.
Yeah. But first, our commercial break. So again, you and I are very active on social media. So if you want more great content out of me and Cory, simply follow Cory at Cory Bittner KC on Instagram, and I'm Jake_Falcon_CRPC. Also, if you want more content on retirement planning, I've got a great book out there for our audience. There's a free, that's right, FREE, Cory, digital download of Retiring Right, Smart Steps for Exiting Corporate America. Just look in the show notes. You go fill out a form, and boom, you get your copy sent to you. If you like the physical copy like we got here, you can go out there and buy it on Amazon. So it's a bestseller. So yeah, feel free to check it out. And again, please thumbs up, like, and share content. The whole point of Upticks is to enhance financial literacy. So if you have a colleague, a coworker who is asking you financial planning questions or investment questions, send them a link to Upticks, and we're happy to share some of our content with more people.
Yep, that's why we're doing this every week.
All right, Cory. So let's set the stone. Let's set the tone, not the stone.
The tone.
Let's set the stone here.
All right, set it.
So again, I want to explain why people in their 50s and 60s suddenly start checking the scoreboard. Why? So we talked about, they ask us, hey, where do I stack up? I've even had younger clients say, hey, I'm 30 or 40. Where do I stack up with people that you meet my age? But I'm curious, why do people in their 50s and 60s start paying much more closer attention? Maybe it's obvious, but why do you think that is?
I think because retirement's becoming more real. It's on the horizon.
Right.
And they want to understand, like, wow, if I'm really thinking about the idea of not working anymore and living off of what I've accumulated, like, I better make sure I got my stuff straight.
Yeah, and most people don't want to work forever.
Correct.
But you know what sucks is that a lot of people put this on the back burner.
I know.
So I think that's why they're like, oh my gosh, I'm 55.
I think fear's part of it.
Yeah, or one of their coworkers retired.
Right.
Or they're like, you know what? My mom and dad retired at 60 and I'm 55. I better get my act together.
Yeah, exactly.
So they start looking.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. I mean, it could be market conditions, right? What's going on at the time. I think people have, if there's job changes, if someone's laid off. There's a lot of people in this age range, especially today. I'm thinking about somebody that I just talked to yesterday, that they have aging parents.
Sure.
They have children that they want to
Is
provide
that the
support
sandwich
to.
generation?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're taking care of parents. They're still helping their kids a little bit or going, but go ahead.
But-
and what were they saying?
No, well, yeah. So this actually, so I was talking to a client who exactly this. A husband just retired about a year ago. Lost a parent, lost an aunt, have a daughter that lost a job, have a new grandbaby, thinking about the next couple of years for retirement. A lot of stuff going on in their life. And while all of this is going on, they want to make sure that they're still in the position for the other working spouse to be able to retire the next couple of years. So it's just, yeah, in a lot of ways, life sort of imposes it on people.
Yes.
At this point.
And this point, your net worth is very important.
It's crucial.
So mine, I mean, you're in your 30s, I'm in my early 40s.
Yep.
I know my net worth, but it doesn't matter to me right now. Does it matter to you? I know what it is, and I try to improve it every year, but it doesn't carry the weight if I was in my 60s.
Exactly.
For example.
Yes.
Good. So that's why it's more meaningful now. And then in this decade of your 50s and 60s, these are also normally in your peak earnings years.
Yep.
So people are making more money than they've ever made in their lives, many times. But also, like you just mentioned, if they're having to help take care of their parents, or maybe their kids are on the tail end of college, or they are trying to buy a home, so your expenses are actually pretty high also. So that
Absolutely.
that stresses people out even more. So
Totally.
they're making the most money they've ever had, but now it's like their mom and dad are knocking on the door saying, "Hey, we're sorry, we need help. We don't have enough money."
Right.
Or their kids, like you said, lose their job, and
Yeah.
they might need to move in with them.
Sure.
I've seen that happen.
It does
you know?
happen.
And so, and they may not even.
That's real life.
And they may not have even lost, their kid may not have even lost their job. They just don't have enough to make it out there.
Yep.
So they need help. So that's why all this matters. And that's why we're talking about it today. So the scoreboard matters now in your 50s and 60s. You're making more money than you've ever made before, but you also got big boy expenses, and you're just trying to figure it all out.
And I don't think that, and I think most people, they have no idea what their net worth really should be.
Yes. So let's talk about that. So I've got some real numbers for you today. So this is from the Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances. All right.
Okay.
And maybe some data.
Roger that.
Yeah. Maybe some data from Fidelity and Vanguard. But what they said is the median, right? So this is in the middle here, for people in their 50s is around $400,000 net worth.
Okay.
Which is actually a little low for a lot of our clients, but we're talking about America.
Yep.
Right. So you got to talk about people that are sadly like in the poverty limit, right? Or have no savings.
Right.
And then people in their 60s, it's around 550,000.
Okay.
So if you want to know just kind of where the middle of the road is, that's not the average, that's the median, right? But the top 10, do I got that right? Mean is the average. Remember this from math class?
Yep, you've got it right.
They teach that in St. Louis, the median.
Yeah, we learned about that.
So, but a lot of people will know. So if you want to be in the top 10%, which I think is more relevant.
Sure.
So top 10% of people in their 50s, Cory, is $2 million. And for people in their 60s, it's $3 million. Now we're talking net worth. This is not liquid assets. So this isn't necessarily the goal, though. So I don't want people to be encouraged or discouraged by that. In the end, it's all relative. Why don't you go over that, Cory? Maybe we don't need to share names, but we have clients that have a net worth of $1 million and clients that have net worths over $10 million.
That's right.
Right? And they may be the same age, but why don't you explain why it doesn't really matter how they compare to the national averages?
Yeah, because the practical reality is that, a national average is just that. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to compare your net worth because other people probably aren't going to have the same expenses. Like as an example, here's an example. Two coworkers, maybe they've worked side by side for 25 years, but one of them has 2 kids in college and the other one doesn't have kids.
Right.
It's going to look totally different.
Totally different.
So it doesn't really matter. What really, in a lot of ways, the net worth is important, but I think that what really matters is that you're set up and that you're in the financial situation that your money's going to last.
Yes. So it's all about your lifestyle and what you're spending money on. You and Cassie, I mean, you guys are a little bit younger than me, but you have completely different expenses now.
Totally.
Because you got a baby.
Right. And I don't play golf.
And you don't play golf. Right. But you lease a car.
Exactly.
I don't have a car payment.
Right.
You do. So again, even though we work together every day, right?
Doing
we're
the same thing.
Same thing. Our lifestyles are completely different. And our incomes are different, sure. But my point is our lifestyles are different. And that's dictating our net worth and our cash flow. And that's what should matter. Really, that's what should be important to you. So I think it's good that we shared national averages and what it takes to be in the top 10%. But ultimately, it's going to come down to your lifestyle.
Yes.
And what's going on.
Yeah, and that's something for you to define.
But I want to tell you something, Cory, too. Do you have any more on that?
Go ahead.
So the numbers lie, though. And I get on this pet peeve a little bit with real estate. Most people's net worth is in their home.
Sure.
And they're not going to liquidate their home to fund their retirement in most cases. Sometimes that happens. But for most of our clients, you could have a $500,000 home and it's paid off and your net worth might be $1 million, but that means you only have $500,000 in savings for retirement.
Sure. Versus
someone could have their home paid off, or let's say they don't have, let's say they rent. But if they have $1 million in retirement savings, these people can have the same net worth, but one person is drastically better set up for retirement than the other person.
Because they're more liquid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So your home should be considered in your net worth for insurance purposes, for tax planning purposes, for estate planning purposes, for even retirement planning purposes. But I don't want you to get caught up in net worth because of that.
Do you think that people overestimate the value of a big house and underestimate the value of liquid investments?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think they underestimate the value of a paid off house, not even a big house. I've met with I've had thousands of meetings over the years, Cory, and I can't tell you how many times people have told me I want to pay off my house before I retire. And I encourage them to tap the brakes, especially if you have a low mortgage. If your mortgage rate's 3 or 4% or 2%, why would you put more money on that mortgage and pay off that house when you could put more money in your 401k?
Right.
So I highly encourage people to look at liquidity, accessibility versus paying off that house. Because yes, paying off that house may allow you some more comfort in retirement, but that doesn't mean you're going to have an easier retirement because that house is paid off. You might say, well, Jake, I don't have a mortgage. That's fine, but you might not have enough money to last you the rest of your life either. So you might be, my point is, you might not have a mortgage, but you might be forced to sell that house. And nobody wants to be forced to sell a home.
Of course. Yeah.
Have you ever had to sell? You have one home.
Right. And I plan on staying in it. I mean, actually, to the point.
Good for you. Until you have more kids, Cory, I'm convinced you're going to buy a bigger house. You got a great house and you got room for another kid. But anyways, that's another topic. So my point is, though, don't think you need to pay off that house. This show is not advice. You need to meet with a financial planner and go over these numbers. But I just want to encourage our audience that being debt-free and having no retirement savings is not a good plan. It's not a good plan, in my opinion.
Being debt-free and having a lot of retirement savings is a great plan.
That's a great plan.
That's a great plan.
Right?
Yeah.
Or you could have a lot of debt.
Find that balance.
But I would argue having a lot of debt and a lot of retirement savings might not be the best plan either, though.
Agreed.
Like if you've got $50,000 in a credit card debt,
right?
You got student loans, you got a 7% mortgage, right? You've got 2 car payments and a boat payment, and you want to retire. That can be risky.
Yep.
Right? That can be risky. So again,
absolutely.
But just understand that these net worth national averages lie a little bit because you don't really know how liquid these people are. So my point is, yeah, it's cool to look at the scoreboard, see how you stack up, see how you compare, but it's all relative.
Right.
When you're looking at net worth.
Yeah.
It doesn't
right.
matter as much.
Your home equity doesn't buy groceries.
Right. And then here's my point that I would use in this example. So let's say you've got a $500,000 home that's paid off, Cory, and you've got $500,000 in your 401k, and you think that's more than enough money to last you. The reality is, a conservative withdrawal rate from $500,000 would be around $20,000 a year, without running out of money. That's conservative. Now we would customize that for our clients, but that's a conservative. So you're telling me $20,000 is enough to live off of? Let's say you get Social Security. Let's say you get another $30,000 from Social Security. So you're going to go from making $100,000 a year to 50, and think that's okay?
Yeah.
But your house is paid off, so you're happy.
Yeah.
No, it's not okay. So don't get caught in thinking that $500,000 in your 401k is going to last you 30 years. If you're making $100,000, you're not going to go to living off $50,000 a year and be comfortable. You're not.
Right.
I've been doing this too long.
I agree.
Have you seen anybody radically downsize like that?
Not really.
Downshift their spending? No.
No, I don't think so. There's definitely not anybody that comes to mind, but that's something, while we're on that subject.
Sure,
though,
that's why I wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, that people make the assumption that when they stop working, that they're going to spend less money.
Yeah.
Because they don't have an income.
But that's wrong.
But the lifestyle doesn't just change because you stop working. And I mean, I think the approach that we typically take for our clients, at the very least, is that we should at least be planning for replacing your income.
Yes.
So you're living the same lifestyle that you're accustomed to.
To me, that is retirement.
Yes.
Retirement is no longer trading your time doing something you don't want to do to live the lifestyle you want. So if you're already living that lifestyle, let's make sure that income is there to replace it from working.
And a lot of people want to spend more money in
Yeah,
retirement.
especially the more money you have,
For sure.
the higher net worth you are, typically your spending goes up. Now, and these aren't our typical clients, but if you're low income, I can see in those circumstances that they can downshift a little bit, Corey, because you know what? They're not used to having BMWs.
True.
And they're not used to going to Capitol Grill.
Right.
Right? They don't do those things.
Yep.
So they're not going to miss it if they don't do it.
Sure.
But again, those aren't typically our clients, but those, I would argue those people are at risk too, though, because if you don't have a good amount in your 401k saved, it's a risk because you're much more subjective to inflation at that point.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful.
Yeah. So you need, though, to really understand whatever your net worth is. Part of it's going to be your investment assets. You need to understand what kind of income that's really going to provide in retirement and the proper way to actually invest the dollars to generate it.
To generate that income. Exactly. Good. All right. So there's different types of personas I want to get into. So there's variables in this. So we'll start with the late bloomer. The late bloomer, this is someone who didn't really start saving until their 40s. But now they make a lot of money, Corey. Their kids are grown and gone, and they are just socking money away out every year. They're maxing out their accounts, their 401ks, their Roths, their broker, whatever they can put away, they're putting it away. Right. So that's one type of person. Nothing wrong with any of these, by the way.
Okay.
But their plan is going to look different typically than the quiet millionaire. And this is someone who steadily saved for their whole career, right? They never made a lot of money, but they lived way below their means. We've got a lot of clients like this, actually.
We do.
That might have $2, $3, $4, $5 million bucks, and you would never know it.
Right.
Right. And again, there's nothing right or wrong about this person. And then you've got the high earner, the low saver, right? These are people that are making 500 grand a year, but their net worth is 600 grand, right? They're burning their cash flow as they go. And again, there's no judgment here. We're professionals.
Right.
But haven't you seen all three of these?
I've seen all three.
I've seen all three of these. And the beauty is, the key component is they need to go through our signature planning process, Corey, because we can build a plan for all three of these personas.
Right.
And we can help these people get to retirement, but it all starts with setting up that plan. It doesn't, they don't have to get lucky and go buy crypto or win the lottery.
Or bet on sports.
Or bet on sports, right? They don't have to stop traveling.
Yep.
Right? There may be some sacrifices and some lifestyle adjustments that need to be made, or they may need to work longer, but we can do all that through proper planning.
Yes.
And they don't need to go pick the next hot stock. They don't need to time the market. They don't need to avoid market crashes, to my earlier comments today. They just need to have a plan. But I have clients in all three of these.
Same.
I have clients that didn't start till very late, but you know what? They caught up. They threw a crazy amount of money.
They're usually very coachable too, because they want to get it right.
Yes, because yes, and let's talk about the emotional dynamic with each one of these. And this is me as a professional and you. We try to, again, there's no judgment, but these people typically come in our office feeling guilty, which I hate to see it.
Yeah.
Right. So the first thing I try to do is show them empathy and be like, look, it's great that you've acknowledged that you're behind. My job is to help you get caught up.
Yep.
So what can we do? Right. And we talk about their cash flow. We talk about their available retirement accounts and their company matches and all the things that they can do to catch up. And we build a plan. And I think actually for those people, having a plan is, well, all of it's important. The plan's always important. But for these people, it's really a big deal. Because they come in here, Corey, not knowing anything. They're like, Jake, I'm 40 and I've got 100 grand.
Yep.
What am I going to do? I feel like I have to work forever.
Right.
So we can show them that. Do you have any thoughts on that, the late bloomer?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think to your point, I've heard it truly countless times where people feel like, I wish I started sooner. I wish I had this conversation with a professional sooner. I wish I knew what it is that I needed to do. But I actually love those conversations because oftentimes we can help people understand if you do A, B, and C, and we check in on this with regularity, you can still end up at this destination that we're trying to target for retirement. And those are the people that, in my experience too, I mean, they really want to follow the plan.
Yes, which is good. And again, the plan's on a roadmap. It'll change.
Of course.
But they stay disciplined is what you're getting at.
Yes. Yeah, that's a better way to put it.
The quiet millionaire, with them, typically they don't spend enough money.
Totally.
They have more than they'll ever need or their kids will ever need. And I really have to coach them on spending. Mm-hmm. And you know what, though? It doesn't change, though. They still don't change.
That's my experience.
I was talking to a client yesterday about it. And they were talking about going to Europe or buying a place in Europe because they can afford to.
Yeah.
But they are going on a safari. They said a safari was like 40 grand is what they heard.
Yeah, it's expensive.
To do it right.
Sure.
Right, to do it right. And they were telling me, I know I can afford it, but I ain't spending 40 grand to go on one trip. So I wasn't going to like pound the table on it, but all I kept saying was like, you should do what you want to do. If you are watching this and you know you're a quiet millionaire and you're underspending, I encourage you to meet with the planners, and all we can do, we can plug it in. I could plug 40 grand into your plan and say, all right, if you pull 40 grand, this is the impact it's going to have to your life. Instead of your kids getting 10 million, they're going to get 9.7.
Sure. Yeah.
You tell me what you want to do. It's up to you.
This is a little, so let me just talk about this for a moment. Like, I mean, this is almost a little bit more philosophical though.
Sure.
Because when you do take a step back and think about your working career, especially for the quiet millionaire, someone who's been working and saving, they've been consistent, they might be proof that you don't need to earn a ton of money to still end up being wealthy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you do need to bring into focus, like, what exactly is the point?
Yeah, why are you saving all that money?
Yeah, just accumulating more shouldn't become the end goal in and of itself.
Right. Well, yes. Yes, you're exactly right. That's a great question to ask people, because typically there's some sort of unhealthy relationship money in the past, or some sort of money trauma.
Yeah.
Maybe they grew up poor.
Yep. That's common.
Maybe they saw their parents fight about money. Maybe they've been divorced themselves because of money.
Yep.
Right. So, and again, no judgment here. All that's okay. But a lot of times we like to bring that to the surface. You know, why do you want to save all this money? What's your goal? What are you trying to accomplish?
Yep.
I even asked that in my planning meetings, because I'm a saver. I think I'm a good. I don't know which one do you fall in? I don't know which one I am. I'm a high earner, high saver.
Yeah. Yeah. Same.
I think I save at a pretty good clip compared to a lot of people.
Well, and I think that, you know, I watched something about this recently, and I think to this point, and obviously you and I understand this, but I think it's important for our audience to understand this too, that like if people spend money first and then save what's left, or if people save money first and spend what's left.
Yes.
Like, I think we totally understand the value of paying yourself first and saving first. And
Yes.
that is really how people build wealth.
Yes, that's what I do. And that's what you do. Yeah. So again, good tip. So again, this show's not advice, but most people do it backwards. So
Save
we
whatever's left.
save first. I know exactly how much I need to save in my financial plan every year, and I make sure I get that done as quick as I can. And then whenever I'm spending money on golf or travel, which
You
I
don't
don't
have to
like
feel bad
doing.
about it. Yeah.
Or home improvement's been our big
Sure.
expense the last year or two, because we moved. I don't feel bad about it,
Yeah.
because I know my plan trajectory is where it's supposed to be.
Yep.
So good. We got the last one, the high earner, low saver. Again, with this person, it's all about behavior modification, because this is a tough one usually for me, because a lot of times these people have created a lifestyle, Cory, that they don't want to change.
Right.
They've got the BMW, they've got, the boat, they've got the lake house, and they like their life,
Sure.
and they don't want to change.
Right.
And that's okay too. The good news about these type of people, they may not have to change. We're just going to show them how long they're going to need to work
Exactly.
to be able to sustain that. And a lot of times, though, what I've seen with these people, they're comfortable with it. They're like, you know what? I like my job.
Exactly.
I'll work till I'm 70. If you're telling me I got to work till I'm 70, or I can't enjoy what I'm doing now to retire sooner, then I'm going to work till 70.
Right.
And that's okay.
Yeah, I think we have pounded the table on the importance of planning here, but I do think
I didn't think it was going to go that direction.
An important point I want to make though about this, as far as the high earner, low saver, is that be honest with yourself.
Yes.
That it's one thing to say that you're going to work until 70 when you're 45 or 50. It's a totally different thing to say the same thing at 60 years old.
Right, and when all your friends are retiring.
Yes, I've seen that. I've seen it
you're
happen.
the only one there.
Yes.
And all your colleagues have $5 million and you've got $2 million.
Yes.
And you got to work another 10 years.
I mean, I'm real enough with myself, Jake, to say at 36 years old, do I want to work until 65 or 70? Sure. But will I feel differently 20 years from now? Probably.
Oh, yes, you probably will.
I probably will.
So that's why you're saving now,
Yes.
just in case. That's the same reason I do it.
Exactly.
So again, in my plan, I do what I need to do for my plan. But then I've agreed with the planners. I'm saying, they're like, if you have extra, just invest it, just save it. And that's what I do. Just in case, again, my plan changes and I want to retire at 60. Who knows? So it's weird. When you get in your 40s, just wait. I feel young, but 60 is not that far away. Maybe it is.
Yeah, you got time.
All right. So let's talk about the path forward. So the key here is people need to evaluate their net worth today, recognize what's liquid and not liquid, understand your asset allocation, your tax efficiency, and number one, that cash flow, right? So that's what we do for our clients. That's what the signature planning process does. So you want to look at your net investable assets, Cory, not your gross net worth. It's good to know like my gross net worth is really large, but it's all because I'm a business owner.
Right.
That doesn't mean anything to me and Rachel.
True.
So it's cool to know, but I care more about my cash flow even now while I'm working. And you know what's going to happen? In retirement, I'm going to care about my cash flow too.
Yep.
So I need to know my net investable assets, kind of what's coming in here. Now, these are general rules, Cory. I don't really, this isn't advice.
All right.
They say on here, though, that by 50, you should have 8 times your annual income saved. So if you're 50 years old and you and your spouse make 200 grand, you should have 1.6 million. That's too generic for me.
It's way too generic.
At 60, it says 12 times, right? So same thing. If you're making 200 grand, what is that? 2.4? You should have 2.4 million saved roughly.
Those are ridiculous.
Yeah. So don't,
Because it doesn't have anything to do with how much money you actually
I
spend.
don't like that. So yeah, I agree. So, because you're right, you could have $2 million, but if you live off 70 grand a year,
Yeah, the quiet millionaire we just talked
it's
about.
plenty of money. If you have $2 million and you live off 200,000 a year, not enough money.
Exactly.
It's not going to last you.
Yes.
So, you're right. So again, all right, just that was in my notes.
All right, that's fair.
And then remember that retirement is not the finish line. So once you retire, you're going to want your assets to continue to grow. You're going to need to protect them and then do more tax planning and just handle the distributions basically as that goes. Any thoughts on that one before we go through our takeaway here?
No, so not exactly to what you just said, but what I want to say is that you can't fix what you don't look at.
Yeah, that's good.
So the first step is just honesty, right? And having that conversation wherever you find yourself. You can't fix what you're not taking the time to look at. And you need to figure out what your life actually costs.
Yes.
What your lifestyle looks like. That's where every plan actually starts when we take people through our signature plan process. And you need to separate, like we've already talked about here, your net worth from your actual usable money. But I think especially for people in their 50s and 60s, who we're talking about on the show, typically, small optimizations matter more than huge swings. It's just figuring out, okay, what tweaks do I need to make in the process?
Good. That's a good takeaway. My takeaway is that the scoreboard is not to make you feel like you're behind. Really, the topic of today's show is awareness. It's just for you to understand that the rules of the game that you're playing and understand what's in my house, what's liquid, what's that going to generate, what allocation do I need, and all those things. So don't compare yourself to other people like we just talked about. Like, it's good to know maybe where you sit, but I don't really care. I don't really care where your net worth is compared to mine.
Yeah, there's not a national average that, makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. It doesn't matter and where I stack up next to that.
What matters is you and Cassie and Daisy.
Yes.
That's it. And your goals and your plan.
Yep. And I would say that for people, wherever they're at, wherever they find themselves, that you're probably not behind. If you feel like you're behind, it might just be because you're uninformed.
Yeah. Having that plan provides so much clarity for people. And the people that are behind that have a plan, they're usually the ones that are most nervous because they know they're behind when they come in here.
Sure.
But having that plan and getting them back on track makes a huge difference in their lives. And that's what we're here to do. That's what the signature planning process is.
And if I can quickly tie this to what you talked about at the very beginning of the show,
it's
also recognizing that you don't need to try to predict what's going to happen next.
That's
and
not part of the
recognize
plan.
what's going to, the investing experience, what comes with that is ups and downs and booms and crashes. That's part of it.
Yes.
But you don't have to try to predict what the next move is. You need to figure out where you stand and what the actionable steps are for you. And you can't do that without planning.
That's good, Cory. What a great takeaway there. So good job. So as we wrap up, we're running out of time here. Do you have any quick recs or anything new in your life you want to share?
I just got back from a short vacation with my wife and my daughter.
What'd you think of it
to
up
Park
there?
City. It was great. I told Cassie, I was like, the place we stayed was called the Montage. It was a really nice hotel. And they have residences there. And I was like, Cassie, maybe we could buy a condo out here. I was like, there's one listed for only $14 million.
14 million?
14 mil.
In the hotel you stayed?
Yes.
Jeez, must have been a nice hotel.
Yeah. Well, that must have been a nice residence in the hotel. I didn't see any
True.
of the residences, but
Sure, you weren't in a residence. You didn't rent a residence.
no, we rented a hotel room. But it was really nice. We really enjoyed Park City.
And you went to the restaurant I recommended,
Yes.
which is right downtown in Park City. Rachel and I love Park City. I love Utah.
Yeah,
It's really expensive though, like you
it
mentioned.
is expensive. It's no joke.
I'm a big fan of Utah.
Yeah.
So, well, good. I'm glad you guys had a good time.
Yep, we had a good time. The baby had fun. She did
Good.
pretty good on the travel, so
Good.
good to get out there and do it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Cory, as always, for joining me. Be sure to tune in. Next week, we're actually going to bring our first guest in the new studio. So be sure to tune in for that. And thank you all, and have a great week.